Hi guys, it's Eve-Yasmine and you are now watching the Urban Download.
Well, welcome everyone to another installment of the Urban Download. I am joined by a very interesting musical person by the name of Eve-Yasmine. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me today.
So we've got Eve-Yasmine, aka Femme Fatale, aka Northwest London Savior,
Yes.
aka Maghreb's Savior, Espana's Savior. Come on, man.
I see you with the research right there.
Yeah, man, you've got to do it properly, man. But thank you for joining me today. It's greatly appreciated to take time out of your busy schedule, and I'll say busy because flipping hell to do my research on you took me absolutely forever. I'll be honest, I didn't even finish because there's just so much, which is a fantastic testament to you. But we'll talk you through it. But yeah, but thank you for joining me. So just first and foremost, like, how are you doing? How's things with you? Just on a, as I always ask my guests, from a personal note, putting aside the musical professional side, just you in general, Eve-Yasmine as a person.
I think that's a nice way to start. I'm good. I'm feeling a lot more positive. I feel these times have been testing to all of us, and all of us have experienced up and down moments. But currently, things are heading in the right direction. I feel I've got a lot more clarity right now. I just recently had a whole room clear out, and when your mind is more at peace and can see things more clearer. So this is good. How about yourself? How you doing?
Yeah, I've been good. I've been trying to adapt to what's been going on, with the pandemic and personal life and things as well. But yeah, things are looking fantastic, and I get to speak to people like yourself who I feel are motivational individuals as themselves. Again, from a personal and a musical perspective, because when we see people like yourself with the constant motivation and constant work output, it just makes you think, well, I need to jump on that wagon. So yeah, going well. But I want to ask, as I said, did you paint your room? I think you were in a busy.
I did. I've been painting my room. You know what? I started off with this wall last year, yeah. Did 2 coats. I was like all motivated to do the whole room. And then I got to this large wall here. And I started getting blisters on my hands. The sponges and that had gone hard. And I was too lazy to go shop and get more. So I painted that whole wall with the tiniest brush.
Oh no.
And my hands were so sore, and I just gave up after it, and I abandoned it for a long time. And finally, I've just got round to actually the whole room.
No, looking good. I can see you got a little personal little setup just behind you there. We'll talk about that a bit later on as well. But all right, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Lockdown has been really difficult for a lot of people, and I mentioned that before from a mental perspective. Now, you being someone who's very consistent with your work, very consistent with engagement with your fans as well. How has that been? I mean, like I said, it's very evident that you like to keep busy, and you've said that on numerous occasions. You like to keep busy because
True.
That's just you in a nutshell. That's just like me. I can't sit still. I can't stand there doing nothing. Naturally, it's not like naturally. I just need to be doing stuff. Has that been for you throughout the whole pandemic, or has there been times where you feel like I just need to take a step back and just chill?
Oh, definitely. I feel it has literally been one or the other. When the pandemic initially started, I mean, I'd quit my full-time job. I was like, I'm so ready for this year. Played my first headline show at O2 Academy Islington, which was such an amazing experience. And I really felt like, yo, this is my year. And then obviously COVID happened and lockdown happened, and I had just released my song Glow Up. And I was like, I've got to find different ways to promote it now. And like all these ideas that I had planned, and I had like gigs lined up and touring opportunities were all out the window. But I was like, okay, I've still got to make use of this time and just find the best ways around it. And there was just suddenly loads of new opportunities about. People were adapting, people were creating new platforms, people were doing new IGTV like lives, and there was many things that I could jump on, and where I'd quit my full-time job, I was free to do a random IG live performance at 1 a.m. or 3 p.m. in the day. All these things that I couldn't do before, I was able to. So I just jumped on everything. And Glow Up was really quite a breakthrough for me, like in the UK scene anyway. Like one of my songs that did really well before was a song called Habibi, and that got me.
I was just about to say that is I've got it here. That is my favorite song you've ever made. But I'll explain my reasons. But yeah, please carry on.
So that got me more known on my other home ground, which is Morocco. So my dad's Moroccan Spanish, and after that, I put everything into that project, and there was a long gap, and for a long time I'd been trying to, I don't know, I just wanted to make some music that would also resonate with my home soil here too. So it was really nice for me to see Glow Up doing well here and getting more support from UK platforms. But after that, I started songwriting for another artist. I mean, to be honest, like the beginning of lockdown was really busy. It was really good. But I would say when it came into winter of last year, definitely there was a dip, and I was starting to find things, I don't know, it was just a bit harder. It was a bit more testing. There wasn't really work or anything about. So it has been literally one or the other, and I have taken time out, and I feel you always need time out to recharge and reset yourself. And I think that's really healthy. Like none of us want to burn ourselves out, but at the same time, you have to also realize when you've gone too much the other way. And I got to that stage, and then I just started applying for so many different things recently, and now I feel like the ball's rolling again, and I'm refocused. But yeah, definitely a bit of both.
What do you do to just as again on a person, what do you do to unwind and just chill out? Putting music aside, what do you do to like just unwind and just chill out?
I'm quite like simple in many ways. Like I've got a puppy. I like spending time with him, walking him. I'm from a big family. I'm such a family girl. Like I like just spending time with my family, eating good food, checking out new music as well, and like not just my own. So like discovering new music and artists, and anything that I feel makes me feel peaceful or at ease is a nice way to unwind, and that comes in different forms. But I think there's certain areas which really work for some people that I definitely want to look into, like meditation and that whole route. I think it's a bit of a journey. So I mean, I've tried it here and there, but not like really gone deep into it. And that's something I'd like to try. But yeah, I really value rest, especially with my medical condition. It's like when I feel like my body's just telling me, Eve, this is too much. It's so important to listen to yourself and listen to what your body tells you.
When your body talks to you, you need to listen. I've learned that from one of my doctors. My doctor said that your body will talk to you, and human nature is that we just kind of look past that, think, all right, cool, we'll carry on. But sooner or later, it kind of catches up to you. One important point that you really made that I really want to focus on, and again, this is for people who are watching this, because again, as I said, difficult times, people are trying to look for motivation. But one thing you said is that you quit your full-time job. Now, given that you quit your full-time job in a time where there's so much uncertainty and so much, ambiguity and, with what we can do and things like that, you quit your job because of the passion that you love for music. I know a bit, because obviously I've looked into a bit more detail about why you did that. But if you could explain, what was the thought process? I know you quit your job, but what was the thought process prior to you quitting that job, and what made you think, what, I can do this?
Okay. Working full-time was definitely a choice. I had for a long time been trying lots of different temp receptionist jobs, and just really wanted to find a job that was secure and could help me fund my music consistently. Because this was the problem I was having before as a freelancer. I was just not earning enough. And when I was, it was inconsistent. So, and that would really reflect in my releases. I'd make something and then I'd have this long gap because I just didn't have money. And even with collaborations, there's still always going to be little expenses here and there, even if it's just basically going to a studio or paying for the artwork for a single. There's always a cost at some point, even if you're doing it on the absolute minimum. So I definitely was like, okay, I need some source of income. And I kept trying different ways to go about it. It's like, okay, shall I try earning my money through doing music? So I was singing, I was in a gospel choir, I was touring, I was doing backing vocals for other people. And then again, because of the whole consistent money thing, I was like, okay, let me try a different way of going about this. So I got into working as a receptionist, worked as an air hostess for a bit.
Oh wow.
But again, yeah, I went to Dubai. I thought, okay, let me just try even the music scene out there. So when I was working for Emirates, I got relocated out there. I lived there for a little bit, connected with some musicians out there, connected with some more DJs. Funnily enough, one who actually is from London as well. So it was like seeing your own people in a different.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was an amazing experience. But I quickly realized, I was like, this job is taking a lot of energy from me, and I'm not gonna have that music job balance that I wanted. So I came back to the UK. I looked for another receptionist job, and then I fell back into this workplace that I had worked at before, but under a different agency. And then things were going good. I was starting to be able to fund stuff again, starting to become more consistent, and people were saying to me like, wow, like you look like you're becoming more consistent now, like the work rate's really good, which was great. But then it got to a point where I'd used up all my holiday. And I still remember this so clearly, because I got offered to sing at a festival in Morocco, which was a big festival.
That was in Marrakesh, wasn't it?
Yes, both were in Marrakesh.
Sun Festival.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. Yeah.
Oh,
so I sang at that a couple of years longer than that, a few years ago now. And they invited me back. So there was that. And then there's the International Film Festival in Marrakesh as well, which is so prestigious. And it's like, before my whole singing thing and I was doing the presenting thing, I really, really wanted to go and cover that festival. And I got asked to be one of the official presenters.
Wow.
And work didn't let me have the time off. It was just so difficult to get. And the thing is, it wasn't even like a day or two. Like, they needed me for, I think it was something like 10 days or something.
Wow.
And the festival again was going to be a few days. And it was just impossible to get time off work. And I needed money. And it was like, I couldn't afford to, because before I would just leave and go and do something, but I couldn't afford time either. But I was really frustrated. And then I had a radio interview. So I DM'd Calix at Westside FM. I sent him my music. And I was basically saying, can I be on your radio show? And I was just so upfront and direct. And he was like, you free tomorrow? And I loved that energy that, you know, that came back from him. But I couldn't. Work would not. And it's like, there's only so many sick days or off days or holiday days you can take in a job. And it's just, it was getting to that point where I was just like, okay, this is starting to not serve its purpose. Like, the whole point is that it aids my music, not prevents me from doing stuff. And all these little things together were just building on top of each other. And the problem is, in so many jobs, as soon as someone finds out you're a music artist, they're like, why are you here? That is literally all you see in Emirates. Why are you here? And it's like, you don't understand. Like, I still need to fund stuff. But even so, even when you just hear that line in your head, you're just like, why am I here? Like, is there another way? So I decided to take the leap. There was all these different things coming up. I had that O2 Academy thing. It was my first ticketed event, sold all my tickets. And I was just like, I can do this. Like, I really believe in myself and I want to give myself a proper shot. And I want to try a different way. So that's ultimately why I left. And obviously, it's such a weird time to quit your job in the middle of a pandemic where so many people have been put on furlough. And there I'm putting myself into nothing. But the time it has blessed me with, I have no regrets.
How has it been since you've left your job, and obviously now you're fulfilling your passion and your musical career? How has that been so far to this current day?
Creatively, amazing. Like, really, really great. Like, I've connected with different producers, new platforms, written way more songs than before. Like, lockdown was just so creative for me. I found sometimes, what I find is like you go through flows of different types of creativity. I'll go through a phase where I'm just writing a lot, or you're focused on visuals, you know, you're focused on different things. Everyone works a different way, but for me, I find that's the kind of pattern I'm experiencing. So initially I started writing a lot, and then I was putting out covers of even old audios. Like I found some stuff on my laptop that I had never released. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start filming stuff in my room and like lip sync to it so I can put this audio out so it looks like something fresh.
Nice.
And one of the covers I did got the attention of a new artist in Paris. And then he went onto my Instagram and he saw songwriter in my bio and he DM'd me and he told me that he was looking for a songwriter for his project. And
was that SBO?
So SBO is a producer that I work with a lot. This guy's called Reese. So Reese is based in Paris and his producer is called Thompson. And it was just amazing because I had this song called Femme Fatale. Femme Fatale was inspired by James Bond and all these big movies. And when I went to meet with Reese, one of the first studios we went in was called Studios Copiela. And you walk in and literally the James Bond plaques were on the wall.
No way. Oh my God. Good dream.
Literally, I just thought if there's any sign, this is literally one right in front of my face. And it just was such an amazing experience. And what's another great thing is like, as soon as you start being active and people see you being active, it just opens more doors because people then want to work with you because they're like, oh, this person looks like they're doing something interesting or they've got a lot going on. Let me get them involved in this. So that opened a lot of doors and I'm really grateful for that whole experience. And we're still finishing off another song of his over Zoom at the moment. But financially, it's been hard. Like, I'm not going to lie, because so many usual things that we could do as musicians are not available right now, or no events, or, you know, things like that. So I've started to like dip into other skills I've got and also start something new. Like I've started to get into producing now, like producing shoots. As an independent artist, you're doing it all the time for yourself, but now I'm starting to do it for other people. So
I did see that. I did see that with the was it filming or photography? You were recruiting for like a PT, a yoga kind of person as well. So was that for like a feature film or was that something? What was that? What was that all about?
That one's going to be for a video shoot this weekend. And then the first one I did at the beginning of the year was for a campaign for a new fashion brand. So again, I feel really fashion and music really complements each other. And so many of these different areas, like the context and connections you have, they just intertwine at some point anyway.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, all right, I'm gonna read it back now, and I want to discuss your journey from inception. Now, who are you? Who is Eve-Yasmine? I mean, you come from, as you said, your father's Moroccan Spanish, and obviously you're very musically gifted, and obviously so is your father, evidently from like your videos, your live streams with your dad, which is amazing. And you did say not too long ago that the lockdown has actually enabled you to really be close to your dad, personally and musically as well. What I'd like to understand for people who are watching now is where was the point in your life where you knew that you were musically gifted, and what influence did your family have with your musical kind of, your background?
It's interesting because even though I wasn't pursuing singing professionally early on, it was always my favorite thing. Like music from the get-go, as soon as I was able to, as a kid, I was dancing, I was singing along to stuff, I was acting or putting on shows for my family, putting on these massive flamenco dresses. And my grandpa used to love classical music and used to have this baton. So I used to pretend I was like conducting an orchestra with him. And then my dad played keys. My mom, again, not professional, but she sings. And she was always harmonizing to songs in the car. So I'd hear her doing that. And my other sister sings too. So there was always a love for music in the family. And I was lucky enough that my parents just listened to so many different types of music. And different languages.
Could you give us some examples?
Yeah, so my mom would bust out Seal's album all the time in the car.
Kiss from a Rose. Kiss from a Rose.
Yes, Kiss from a Rose. You're saying.
Such a tune.
Such a tune and crazy. I love his tone. And then both my parents loved 80s music. So songs like Earth, Wind and Fire, September.
Disco. Yeah.
Those are the kind of songs we'd listen to.
What about the foreign kind of influence of music? Because obviously your dad said you're Moroccan Spanish. So what is that? Are you you're Moroccan, but you speak Spanish, or I mean, kind of explain the dynamics and the kind of the musical influence from.
Funny because it's a bit of both. So I do have Spanish roots, but equally on top of that, the region of Morocco my dad is from is the Spanish-speaking region. So the way Morocco was colonized, you have a Spanish-speaking area, French-speaking area. So a lot of Moroccans are multilingual and will, as well as speaking Darija, which is the Moroccan dialect, will speak French or Spanish. And a lot of the young people now speak English too, but they're so good with languages. Like everyone you meet, it's just so effortless, it seems, for them. And growing up, although my dad always spoke to me in English, my dad's side of the family, with my aunts and my gran, didn't speak English. So initially I was speaking in Spanish with them, like my broken Spanish. And then when I started to visit my aunts who live in the French-speaking region of Morocco, I was like, okay, I can't use my Spanish here. People are speaking French. So that's when I started to try and learn some French so I could communicate, even just going to the shops or whatever. And that's how I started to pick up French. And then obviously just hearing my dad on the phone, or, just like little moments with the family like that. But that's definitely been a big influence.
With the musical side of things, you said your dad listened to a lot of music as well. So
yeah.
So did he ever listen to any kind of that kind of Moroccan music, which kind of paved the way for the kind of music you're putting out today?
Definitely. And my dad would show me different Moroccan artists, and something's crazy because years ago, my dad showed me an artist called Ahmed Sultan, and he's got such a cool, laid back, like he does all these nice acoustic vibe songs, and he'll sing in different dialects, different Moroccan dialects. And my dad loved Ahmed Sultan, and he's been playing his music all the time. And years later, he came to London to do a workshop for young musicians. I went, I showed him one of my songs, he liked it, and he invited me to perform with him on stage. So to have, as a little kid, my dad showing me this guy's music, and then
all of a sudden, but then you interviewed him as well, right?
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah, I did. And he was so much fun to interview.
He was actually quite a hilarious character because he was like, "Oh, what do I do it in English or in Arabic?" Like the whole interview.
Yeah.
But so that's incredible. Do you feel that the Moroccan side of your upbringing and your musical influence? You said that it's evident in your music today. One, as I said, the main song that I really, really, really love is Habibi. And the reason why I love that, I can't relate because I don't speak Arabic. I don't have any Arabic kind of links or anything like that. But I loved it because I loved the kind of the Arabic sound, the instrumental, the violin, and then you put your own spin on it. And obviously that was from, I think, 2014. I think Habibi was released. I think so. 2016. My apologies. Where was that filmed? Was that filmed in Morocco as well? Or?
It was.
That's incredible.
Still to this day, that is one of my proudest achievements, because when I say there was obstacle after obstacle for that video. Firstly, even to get a filming permit in Morocco is extremely complicated, especially as an individual, and especially as an individual from a foreign country. Even if I've got Moroccan origin, doesn't matter. It's so hard. And I had this film company in Tangier that helped me out for that, to get the license. And if it wasn't for them, just being extremely generous and listening to my story and my struggle, if you know what I'm saying, and be willing to help me out, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to. But even despite that, when I arrived into the airport so it was like a mix of UK Moroccan crew. So I had a couple people with me from the UK that came for the shoot, and the policeman confiscated the camera equipment, showed me a room of where all this camera equipment is confiscated. And this is all in French, by the way. And this was when my French was still rusty. And I'm there panicking, and none of them speak French. They have no idea what's going on. They're just dying inside.
Oh my God.
I don't even know where to begin, because there's so many little stories I could tell you. Yeah. But let's just say there was a really good friend of mine, Majd, who gave me one of them old school phones with a Moroccan SIM in it the night before. He just landed back from Morocco to the UK, and he gave it to me for emergencies. And I used this to ring the production company, and they sent the release form by WhatsApp to the policeman.
Way. Oh my
And
god.
it's like, it was something like 5 to 6 p.m. or something. So like, you know, time offices are gonna shut, and I'm just there like panicking. My gran, bless her, she's passed now, but she came to meet me at the airport, and the taxi driver was waiting outside. So she was keeping this taxi driver. I didn't even know she was coming to surprise me, but she kept the only taxi driver waiting outside and just saying, you know, wait, they're gonna come. And then so there was all this palaver. Then we got the document. They gave me authorization. They're not gonna confiscate the camera equipment anymore, even though I'd got insurance. I was like, that was my only thing. I was like, at least I've got insurance.
Yeah, you're covered. Yeah.
Got through, and then I see my gran, and I just burst into tears. I was like, "Come on, you know, gone through that. Now I see her. She's come all this way to see me." And we went to Chef Shawan, and Chef Shawan is in the north of Morocco. It was about a 2.5-hour drive from Tangier, and it was just magical. The sun's setting, and the sky is like a violet color, and these huge mountains around you. And we arrived in this place known as the Blue City, and all these buildings and houses are painted in blue and purple and some occasionally red, but it's just the most stunning fairy tale like setting. And you come out the taxi, you're like, where am I?
Yeah,
and
I can imagine.
So intense. We didn't have a lot of time, but it's just I really hope I can go back there, and I hope you can go and visit, because it's just one of those special places.
It looks incredible. It looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, like I said, that is my favorite song of yours to date, irrespective of how old it is. It shows, the reason why I like it as well is because it shows how you've evolved in terms of your voice, your style, your projection, and articulation as well. Obviously changing this. I feel that later on down the line, you've kind of adapted to more of the London kind of rustic kind of side of your music, and we'll talk about it a bit more later on, where you've switched up with kind of a rapping kind of thing, and then you move to the singing, which we're going to talk about, which is evident in your new release as well. Again, just going back to your family, how has your family taken your success and your musical kind of progression, as well as, you know, as you said, giving up your job and going with music and going with it full time? How has that been from you know from your entire musical journey?
They're very supportive, but it's taken a lot of persuading too. Don't get twisted. Like, I think anyone creative, it's kind of hard initially to convince your family and your loved ones or whoever's around you at the time that it's more than just a hobby. Like, you don't just want it to be a hobby, and some people do want it just as a hobby, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, it's way more than that. It's such a huge fulfillment and such a feeling of purpose and a need to share an experience with other people. Like, it overpowers all those things. And every time I've tried to, you know, even do a normal job or whatever you want to call it, I always end up being like, no, this is not the way I want to go about it. And now my family are seeing me, you know, tap into producing and this other stuff. I think it's nice for them. And they're like, wow, you know, all the little things you've done here and there are actually aligning. Yeah. And it's really nice for my parents and my family to see that, because, yeah, it's, you know, it's a lot of, you know, how much longer are you going to do this? Some people, like, I remember seeing one friend and she was like, oh, you're still doing the music thing. And it's like, what do you mean still doing the music? Like, it's not just, oh, let me get this number one, or let me get this hit. It's so much more than that. Yeah. And yeah, when it genuinely comes from a place of love, it's part of you.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, it's your passion, it's ingrained with you. I was speaking to a few artists before, and you know, one of these, he's a professional footballer, like professional, but he's also a grime MC. And people found out, his football lot found out he was a grime MC, and they kind of laughed it off, saying, well, you know, how long are you going to keep doing that for? Well, what do you mean? It's like, this is me, this is my passion as well as having a full-time job. So yeah, I get what you're saying, that obviously it takes for you to get to a certain status where you think like, oh, right, okay, now I'm going to take you seriously. You are a natural born entertainer. Now, I mean, articles state that you range from singing, songwriting, modeling, acting, TV, presenting, dancing, radio presenting. I mean, that's a long list of things, but at the same time, it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of determination. But you in front of a camera are a natural. I mean, there are videos dating back to, I think it's 2014. You being interviewed in Harrods, near Harrods in central London, and you were very young. You were a teenager, and you were very, you were not camera shy. You were literally just like a natural. Like you literally had it. When how did that even come across? I mean, how did you build that kind of confidence to get in front of a camera and just say, well, you know, this is me, or were you just naturally just born to be in front of a camera?
I think it's a mixture of different things, but one thing I really want to emphasize on is I've improved a lot. And I feel like a lot of us are scared to start when we're not that great at something. Like even my singing, like I've improved so much. Presenting as well, like just coming across more relaxed on camera, because sometimes your nerves really do get the better of you and you might like tense up or you might not speak as fluidly. And it's taken time to get to that position. I think early on, the want and desire to do it overpowered everything else. So I used to get really, really nervous, and I still get nervous these days, but I'm talking like vomit nervous or blanking on stage.
Wow,
like I have
really?
Yeah, I auditioned for some musical in Brent Cross Shopping Centre, got on stage, completely blanked in front of the judges, and one of them started laughing at me, and it was horrible. Like I was maybe like 11, 12 at the time, and I just felt like my confidence was knocked so much, but I kept trying. I kept doing things, and the more you do, the more comfortable you start getting, the more used you get to different settings. And also another thing is like learning not to get affected by also sometimes who's behind the camera. Sometimes people are putting pressure on you, or they're in a bad mood, or they're just not having a good day, and you can feed off that energy. But trying to learn not to get affected by those things and just to come in, own your energy, own, you know, everything you're doing, and just be really focused on like, okay, this is going to be for my show reel, or this is a really good opportunity right here, or let me just relax and imagine I'm talking to a friend. So it's taken time, but the desire was always there. So I'd always go and put myself forward for things, even if it scared me.
100%. And it's clearly evident, as I said, with just, I mean, well, not clearly evident in how scared you are, but with being how much of a natural you are, as I said, from a very young age to the present day. It's really refreshing to see. And as I said, you are a natural born entertainer, and obviously, as I said, you've taken that leap, and here we are today. You grew up singing gospel choirs. You've done the whole street dance kind of thing as well. Again, is that something you wanted to do by yourself, or were you kind of pushed by your family and say, I wanted to do this?
No, 100%. Like it came from me. I think, I'm trying to think, my mom didn't know. Like dancing wasn't a thing. Like my grandma did ballroom dancing. A complete opposite style, but it was, again, just like a love for dance. And I auditioned for some competition in school, and I won 3 street dance classes. And for someone like myself who came from a big family who couldn't afford for the kids to go and do all these classes and all these extra activities, that was such a significant thing for me. And going to Etienne's performance really like had such a big influence on my life. And in street dance, it's also how I discovered so many R&B artists. Like I remember one street dance class, as like a little reward, the dance teacher gave me a CD of Sierra goodies, and I was like the happiest ever.
Brilliant.
I was like, oh, Sierra CD, and just discovering music through CDs. Like, oh my god, CD! I'm feeling old now.
The younger generation can't relate, man. I'm telling you that.
They don't know.
The struggles.
Yeah, that was such a big impact. And same with gospel choir. Like, I was bullied as a kid, and doing things that I loved was also like my safe space. And when I went to high school, year 8 was actually a really good year because I was away from the primary school. People from primary start to realize how many people I knew in high schools older because of all this extra stuff I was doing, and they just started to back off. And there was a group of girls in like year 10, year 11 who really had my back. And there was the normal choir, which had like a lot of students in. And then there was a gospel choir, which had maybe like 10 students who were all older than me. And this teacher called Miss Owu. And I remember going to that and just feeling at home and feeling so comfortable and inspired by these singers who were like a couple years older than me. There was one singer called Jade, and we're still in touch even to this day. And she's such an amazing vocalist. And being in gospel choir really like gave me that space to grow. And it was somewhere I felt my lower alto voice, you know, I wasn't singing soprano in some thing. It's just this low alto voice that had a soulful sound fitted. Like I just felt like this really felt like me. And that inspired me to look out for more opportunities. And when I saw this CK gospel choir were auditioning for more singers, I thought, let me try. And again, like I'd never had professional training for singing, but for me, gospel choir like taught me so many things without the traditional teaching. Just being around other singers and learning to blend or
the influence as well.
Harmonies. Yeah, like massively. And again, through CK gospel choir, I became best friends with another singer called Andrea, and again, phenomenal vocalist who's not only been like a dear friend to me, but like inspired me so much musically too. So gospel choir and street dance really had the biggest positive impact on my life, and I'm so grateful for that.
And again, do you feel that that's evident with the kind of, do you ever see kind of yourself, that kind of gospel kind of singing in your music today, or is it literally just something that helped you build to get to where you are now, but is it not evident in your music, do you feel?
I feel like singing from that place of purity, and when you're so in tune with yourself and you're really singing from like deep inside, I feel that's something that connects through. And obviously it's not going to necessarily translate to every type of song you're doing, but when you're genuinely singing from that core and that place, and you're speaking, as a lot of people say, your truth, it shows, it really shows. And I think that's another reason why a lot of singers start to do more songwriting, because it's just coming from a certain place.
Which was going to lead me on to my next point. You are a songwriter as well in your own right. You write your own songs, you make your own songs, you're now starting to produce your own songs. But from a writing perspective, that's not easy, because you need to get into the right frame of mind. You need to be sitting down and have the correct motivation, thought process. Talk us through a typical day when you just sit down, pen to paper, or what if it's or fingers to keys, whichever it is on the keyboard, computer keyboard. Talk us through that kind of the whole mindset and how you motivate yourself and start in actual fact. I've got
different ways I like to write, but for me, my favorite way is when I guess it comes from a spontaneous moment. I wake up and I just suddenly have an urge to write about a specific subject. I'm like, I feel this way, I need to express it. Or this is on my mind right now, I need to let it out. Like a lot of the time when I write, my best songs have come in this kind of format. But at the same time, there'll be other songs, for example, Glow Up, where I heard the beat first. And when I listened to it, the thought that came to my head was, I really want to write something uplifting.
Yeah.
And then I go from there. I feel some people just like to start writing words down, or they change lyrics several times, whereas I'm the opposite. I'm definitely very concept driven. And as soon as I feel I know what I want to express, or the story element, then everything flows. And I can write that way too, but I feel that's my best way.
So let's talk about Glow Up. Let's put Glow Up as an example. What was the concept behind that? And talk us through the whole thought process regarding Glow Up.
So when I was writing Glow Up, I wrote almost all of the song while I was still in London, and I finished it while I was in LA. And me and SBO had just done Wild Run together. Wild Run was like finally a nice breakthrough from the other music I was making, which was more pop driven. And now I was starting to show back to my R&B roots of the music that I really, really like connected with and loved. So I was like to SBO, I really want to do something that just like tails off Wild Run, but it's still different. So Wild Run was quite moody, sultry, and I was like, okay, what can I do that's, tailing off that? And I wanted to write something uplifting. And Glow Up was all about being really proud of your hustle and your journey, and like reflecting on everything. And maybe you've had a situationship with someone, and you're both going your different ways, but you're not even wishing them bad. Like, you're just so focused on your solo journey and all the moves you're making, and just being really proud of that. And I finished that while I was in LA. It was my first solo trip there. It was something I'd always wanted to do. And I recorded with this producer called Jedah. He recorded my vocals for it. And I just remember being in the session, and he was kind of like just sing it, but like almost like throwaway singing. Like, it was just this very like loose, relaxed feeling. And it just came out in such a nice way. And the way he recorded me was such an enjoyable experience. Like, as a vocalist, when you are hearing your voice clearly and you've got that clarity, and what I loved is I could hear the intimacy, and the way the vocals were coming out, it made me feel more confident to express myself even more. So that was such a great experience. And that's why the bridge was saying solo days in LA, and it's talking about, being proud of the moves I've made, etc. And I really felt that line, because I was, on this solo trip, and I was saying it, and I'm like, I'm literally here in a studio, 4 a.m. recording my next single in LA, and just like, it's taken a lot to even get to this stage. And I just was taking it in and just feeling proud and happy. And I feel everyone needs to do that. It doesn't matter, like, if you haven't reached your ultimate destination or goal, like, really take in those small milestones that come along the way, because that's a huge achievement in itself.
You mentioned your music is very reflective of you and your as you said, your personal life, how you feel. It's, the concepts are reflecting of what you're going through. Is that, am I correct in saying that
Yeah, definitely. Like, a lot of the songs are. And I mean, I will always experiment with storytelling and creating new situations and getting inspired from other people too. But I find more and more these days a song will stem from some kind of truth and sometimes I've experienced.
Okay, so my favorite song, Habibi, what was the concept behind Habibi?
So Habibi, I didn't write. Habibi was written by Omar, and he was the first producer to really encourage me to actually go for music professionally and seriously. I was still interviewing, and I love interviewing artists, and I'm always curious and enjoying other people's music as well. But it was more the confidence thing. I didn't really believe in myself like that for doing it as a career, even though it was like my favorite thing to do. And Omar, I was initially going to interview him, and then we met up and I sang to him. It was so random how it happened, yeah. But I sang to him, and then he was like, your voice is amazing. Like, what are you doing? You should be doing music. And he literally got up something on his computer. We recorded that day, co-wrote the next day, and then it just continued from there. And Habibi was at a point where we'd done quite a few recordings together, and we'd had, like, because he's Moroccan as well, so we had discussions before of this blend and showcasing the Moroccan sound. And he initially was going to have that song for himself, I believe.
Wow.
And he just sent me it, and he was like, what do you think of this? And he's like, you can change the lyrics if you want. And I read the lyrics, and I was like, actually, I love them. Like, I'm not going to change a song if it's a great song.
Of course.
No point. Some people will change things just so they have their royalties or whatever. But I was like, this is a really beautiful song. I don't want to change anything. And I felt so connected with it still. And I feel that's unusual for me, because more times now I need to write it. Like, I feel it has to come from that place. But this time, because the music was like having that connection with the, the cultural backgrounds and everything.
Absolutely.
I connected with it in a different way. And it was so refreshing. And I love that song. It's such a nice.
As I said, it's beautiful to listen to. You can sit back and just relax and just after that, even though I don't know, I mean, I can't relate in terms of, like I said, I haven't got Arabic heritage or North Africa heritage, but it just resonates to me, and I just love the kind of the sound of it. It sounds incredible. Okay, so still with your writing element, one of your main dreams is for you to have your own song, which you've sang and written to feature on films. You know,
Correct.
James Bond, Disney, you know, things like that. How does that, you know, how does that make you feel that obviously you're on that spiral, you're on the upward spiral to, you know, to grab that goal? What techniques and what are you doing to try and grab that goal?
I think I mentioned it before, but being in tune with yourself and having a vision board and being really clear with yourself and putting that visually in front of you and around you is so important. And I've started to do that. So literally inside of me right now, I've got a vision board and I've got a list of the songs that I've written over lockdown that I want to record and fund. And it's going to take time to fund all these different things, but I've at least got it in front of me, so it's clear.
The work in progress.
Yeah. And I think when you see that and you can start ticking things off little by little, you feel like, okay, cool. It's not completely unreachable. Like even there's small steps, but there's still steps towards like the final goal. But I've tried to connect with people more in the sync world. So there is someone that I'm regularly sending my songs to. And for example, I sent him Femme Fatale and sent The Healer and sent him another song. So I'm starting to be more active. I've still got to do more research, but I'm also just making sure I create great music that has a strong chance of all of that. Because yeah, you can have connections, but you really need the strong songs. And once you do, yeah, it's so important to actually just go back to square one and be like, okay, but is what I'm making actually strong enough or good enough? And the thing is, it's all, you know, like sometimes what you consider to be your worst song is the one that's actually going to become a hit and go viral. Like you can't predict.
So, no, you can't help those
but
things.
Still give yourself a chance.
Absolutely. One thing which is really, really important is that, as I mentioned before, you're very active. Social media, untouchable. I mean, if it's not Instagram, then it's Twitter. And if it's not Twitter, it's Facebook. It's everything. You've mentioned before, you're independent, you're self-funding. That's incredible in its own right. Because when you look at the current discography of your music, the current social media presence as well, then you're doing your own music. How do you manage all of those on a day-to-day basis? Because that, for one person, as I said, you know, you're self-funding, you're independent person, freelance, you're doing it all by yourself. You don't have a big management team who looks after all your PAs and whatever. How does that? What my first question is, how do you manage that? And how is there any significant pressure with having to maintain all of that just by yourself?
I think always at the forefront of my mind is like, well, if no one else is going to do it for me, I've got to do it for myself. Otherwise, how am I going to make it happen? So I'll have that kind of conversation with myself, like, what, you're just going to sit and wait? No, like, you know, some people will try and tell you, oh, don't do a music video yet because, you know, you don't have the funds for it, like, as in to create something like super epic. But a video that could have 300 views could get you a huge opportunity. So I disagree with that. But at the same time, sometimes I don't manage it. I get really overwhelmed. Like, this whole process of the Healer music video has taken a lot of time and effort, and I've put a lot of love and energy into it, and thankfully worked with so many great people on this project. But there's been a lot of obstacles, and the video's not even out yet, and yet you feel so overwhelmed, and you're like, but now you somehow have to find this reserve energy to then go ham at the promotion stage. And that's currently where I'm at right now. I'm trying to think, okay, I've done all of that, but that's not enough. Like, even though that was a lot, like, okay, you got to rethink now, like, how am I going to market this? And, you know, when it comes to marketing, things are constantly changing. So you're always having to learn something new, join a new social media platform. Like, okay, that's not working for audiences now. How can I say the same thing in a different way so that video gets seen or that post gets seen? So it's a lot of learning. But yeah, as I said, sometimes I don't manage it. But one thing I find that helps me is writing things down. And I go through phases of not writing it, and I notice the difference when I don't. But when I do, I find it really helps. Just even things like, okay, I'm gonna research who's presenting on One Extra and contact this DJ, this DJ, this DJ. Just like little mini goals constantly that you can say, okay, today I'm gonna do this. And I find that helps a lot.
Do you, even though you have things written down, are there times where you think, oh, do you know what, I can't do it? Or is it literally, if it's written down, no matter what, I'm doing it?
I think it's a bit of both. There'll be some things, yeah, that I'm like, okay, that's a really good idea. But okay, say for example, it's like creating a video, and I wake up and I'm like, nah, don't like how I look today. I'm not filming. No one needs to see me today. Just say, look too tired or whatever it is. But then you have to just kind of force yourself out of it, because what, you're just gonna let loads and loads of days go by and you're just gonna waste more time when you could be using that to progress. I think you need to fall in love with your journey, and you need to fall in love with the mistakes and things not being perfect. And once you get over that and you're just churning out content, you're getting better as you go along anyway. Like I would post videos where my singing isn't the best, where my piano playing is really not on point like that, but I'm showing I'm trying, I'm learning, and this is where I'm currently at. Watch next week, I'm going to be at a different position. And I feel if you're just honest and upfront with your journey, that can also help you so much.
Absolutely. You mentioned piano playing, and it's one, there's something right behind you. And your father, he plays the piano as well.
Yeah. My dad plays.
How did you learn? And you know how it, and obviously that enables you and that helps you with your music today. Talk us through the kind of journey on the piano as well. That'd be really interesting to understand.
It's just funny because it's literally like tailing off your point that you just said. Something can literally be in front of you every day and you still don't do it. So I've got a piano in my room now. Am I playing piano every day? No. Did I think I was going to practice every day? Yes. But why I've got it here is for a few reasons. One, my dad can just come in anytime when he comes to visits, and he can play, we can jam together.
When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there's no one there to dry your tears.
Because he doesn't have a piano at home. So this is really nice just to have a proper piano. It was cheap, it was on sale. I was like, I don't want to miss this opportunity. So that's there. Also to remind myself, again, it's like a music space. It's like another visual board.
It really
is. Just you to be like, okay, this is where I'm going, this is my aim. And then again, even if you're not playing, things like scales as a singer, or I was doing a session with Idris the other day, and my dad heard us, and he just came to the room and he just played a couple of notes to help with pitching, like things like that, where you don't necessarily have to be playing Beethoven to make use of your piano in a good way. So yeah, that's what the piano situation's saying.
Yeah, you remind me, because I played piano for like 8 to 9 years, and I used to have a piano just sitting there, and it just started gathering dust, and it used to really annoy me because I had it right there in front of me. And being a DJ, playing the piano can help massive, especially with music production as well. It's massive,
Definitely.
Absolutely massive. If you can accomplish playing the piano, you can accomplish producing music. And I'm hoping that will be for what I'm saying, will give you a little bit of a boost to get on that piano afterwards and churn out some tunes. But that's fantastic. I want to talk about your discography now, and you've mentioned Healer, Centrist on production.
Yes.
And what I love about this track is, as I mentioned at the beginning of this interview stroke discussion, that you switched it up for them. It wasn't just a typical, singing and vocal. You put a little bit of a rap. And when I listened to it, I was thinking, whoa.
I don't want to hear about your exes. I appreciate the complexities that you want your mind at ease, but every sound, every memory wants to come back into every moment with you. Here we go again. Another guy wants my healing.
You didn't put an American tone on it. You kept it gritty. You kept it London style. Like, talk us through that. Like, why did you do that?
Again, like, I just woke up feeling an urge to speak on that particular subject. And I just liked the idea of the word healing and healer. And I just thought, oh, this could be like a really nice topic. And then I had this character of a fortune teller in my head. And I wanted to represent, which I have done in the video, playing a fortune teller, and this idea of people are coming into your life, you know, for that healing, or, you know, all that good magical stuff. And you sensing that they're not right for you. And like a fortune teller could read someone's energy, just you realizing sooner rather than later, this isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was where I was coming from. And what I noticed over lockdown is, again, I was like, let me get out of my comfort zone. So I love lyricism. Like, I love writing and I love listening to rap music. And I was just like, why don't I just, I've done it before, but I was never like really going for it. Like, I'll just say a line in here, like more spoken than more singing. And it kind of started off like that. I was just speaking things more than singing them. And then I'm like, okay, but I still want to make it sound interesting. And again, being more in tune with yourself, etc., I was like, I want to start representing more of where I'm from. Like, I'm from Northwest London. Like, I want this London element to start showing through my music too. And I just thought, I really want to attack this a different way. So I was looking up YouTube beats and I started singing this melody idea I had over different sounds, and I found one that worked, did like a demo. And then Centrist saw that after another artist, Shael, had introduced us, and he was like, just hit him up. So I did, told him I had the song idea and everything. And he's so quick. Like, he's just one of those producers, just fast. And, you know, he's in America, he's in Los Angeles, in California, and it just has this whole vibe about him and this whole source in the music. So it was just such a nice combination of this US meets UK. And that's another thing, like, I just wanted to maintain that UK grit because I thought that combination would be really nice. So it was just a natural thing. It just happened. But I'm really happy with the outcome.
No, definitely. It's refreshing because, as I said, no disrespect to fellow artists out there, but when I hear people trying to rap, they kind of embrace the American undertone as opposed to keeping it real. And you've done that in the past. There's other performances where I've seen, not performances, I think there was a video, I'm not sure which one it was. There was a guy with a guitar. It was really,
Talk to Your Brother.
Yeah, and Talk to Me Brother, and that was amazing. That was sick in its own right, because again, it was a similar style, and you haven't forgotten it. You've kept that going, and that shows your versatility, not just from a genre perspective, but versatility in terms of the way you project your sound and your natural sound. You're not just a singer; you are everything. You're actually a musical artist with varied talent, which again is very difficult to find nowadays. And I feel that you should be, I don't know if you are, you probably are, but you should be very proud of yourself, because as I said, after I've looked at your journey in more detail from a very young age, you've come far. And what's very inspiring as well is watching how you've done everything by yourself, and that is challenging. You may be got big smiles in front of the camera and showing everyone that you are that strong person, that which you may be, and you probably are, but you're a human being after all, and things can take its toll on you. But you, irrespective of that, you've maintained your work output, and it's just incredible and it's refreshing to see. So I just wanted to put that out there because
it's so nice of you. Yeah, like, I can't express how much that means, because it's not all smiles all the time. There's really a lot of moments of doubt and times where you're just like, I'm literally putting my all into this and I'm not seeing the progress that I'd like to see. And you do doubt yourself, or you might have some negative comments here and there that occasionally get to you. And it is hard sometimes to keep going, but when the love of it again overpowers everything, you just have to hold on to that.
Not to overshine the positivity, but obviously you mentioned how you'll get some negative comments sometimes. Now, someone who's who's very prominent on social media, again, from a mental health perspective, social media can play a very, very big part in a detriment to someone's mental health. For you, obviously maintaining engagement with your fans, and it's clearly evident on Instagram and YouTube, where if you look at the YouTube comments, people are just, are crazy over your talent, and it's evident. But how do you manage when you don't receive the kind of the feedback that you get, which is kind of challenging, especially, you know, you said you've given up your full-time job, you're now doing this full-time, but then you'll receive kind of negativity. What do you do to kind of just say, do you know what, I'll look past that and carry on?
You know what? You're going to find these negative people and negative comments in every sector, every industry, in just every kind of walk of life. It exists. And sometimes, and a lot of the time, it literally has nothing to do with you. That person is just venting something that's inside them and their frustration, and they've just projected it in that certain way, and you just happen to be the person that they've chosen to project it onto. Someone doesn't like something about themselves, and again, they've seen something they actually like in someone else, but they're trying to find something to take out of to make themselves feel better. And once you kind of realize that, firstly, it's like that creates some kind of detachment from the comments. And I guess I've been exposed to a lot of negative comments from young, so I've kind of heard everything. I'm kind of just like, I think a lot of it is, well, like owning who you are. Like as a kid, I was cool, you know, everything from fat, ugly, like taking the mick out of my face features, which again, I'm so proud of now, because especially because it shows my roots. I'm like, I like how I look. It represents my culture, where I'm from, like
it's
my
your brand. It's your brand.
Yeah. And, you know, some people want to change their look as a result of the pressure. And I feel like let people do what they want with their bodies. But when it's come as a result of pressure, that concerns me, and it is something that really bothers me, and it's difficult. One of the first cover videos I put out was shared by someone who had a couple of million followers, and they shared it, which was great. My subscribers went up, the views I think went up by like 16,000 overnight, which to me was a lot at the time. Like I wasn't getting views like that.
It still is. Yeah.
It is. But on the back end of that, I received thousands of hate comments on the Facebook page. And I'm talking really not nice comments and like death threats. And like, I was maybe 18, 19 at the time. And that was my first experience of like full on hate online. And it's just like, why? Like, why do so many people want to come at me like that?
Yeah, what have I done?
Yeah, literally. And it just is the nature.
It's the way of the world, 100%. But I don't want to speak on that too much to try and overshadow how positive this discussion has been with you. Because I've, you know, as I said, you've come a long way, and your journey is refreshing and enjoyable to watch. And you mentioned the O2 Academy, and when I watched that performance, the beginning of your performance, you took a moment. You were like, I just can't believe I'm here. Because 1 minute I'm in the crowd, the next minute I'm on the stage. How did that make you feel that you mentioned you sold out that event? You're on stage at the O2 Academy, and that's not, you know, and I looked at the crowd and everyone's engaging, and it's just amazing to watch. And it's just, how did that make you feel?
So energized, so grateful. Like, that was my first time having my own gig with a full band, which also consisted of one of my best friends and my sister on BV. So just to have like really close people behind you. First time both my parents and my brothers were in the audience as well. Like,
amazing.
It was the first time, like, you know, family could all come. Had a lot of people I care about in the crowd, and people who I'd only met recently, or people who just like knew my music. So it was a whole mixture. But again, there was a lot of obstacles to that gig and a lot of complications, and I won't go into that. But before, like, you know, getting on stage, all those kind of thoughts were still in my head and affected me. And I just thought, you know, you have to forget everything. Like, this is such a sick opportunity. Like, take this in. And when I went on stage, because so much of our life just flashes past us, I really wanted to just take that pause and let it sink in and look at everyone in the eyes and look at the crowd and look at the band around me and just absorb that. And it was so nice. Oh, like I still can feel that buzz from that gig. And despite again the obstacles and everything, I'm so glad I did it, because you know what it is, yeah, when I received that email by the promoter, there was a few venues you could apply to perform at, and you could only apply to O2 Academy and a few others if you were able to meet ticket sales. And when I saw that list, even though O2 Academy was the top one and was like the most sales, and I'd never done a ticket event and I didn't even know I could sell 5 tickets, let alone 100, I just saw it and I was like, that's my dream. I need to make that happen. And it's like, if I've got that like to my name, again, that's going to open more doors.
Absolutely.
And I just set my heart on it, set my mind to it, and hustled. And luckily people bought some tickets and here we were. But yeah, I'm so glad I did it. And I think it's a really good example of, don't be afraid. Like, if there's something you want to do, go for it.
Absolutely.
Just risk it.
The link and cohesion with you and the backing singers and the band was incredible. It just felt like you guys have been apart for, been together like 20 years plus. It was just amazing to watch. And for those who are watching this, I'll put the link in the bio because it's a great watch. But as I said, you get to see you as a person right at the very beginning being, this is my moment, basically. And you were trying to own that moment, and you were telling the crowd that I'm here now, like I'm actually here and I've done it. And again, as you said, that opens up many doors, and it has, because it's opened up many doors in terms of your fan base, and people are watching and thinking like, wow, this is incredible. One thing that we mentioned before, and I feel it's very key, is Healer. And I want to go back to that because obviously that was released not too long ago. So we're waiting for the video. Is that correct? When is the video potentially dropping?
As soon as possible. I've got another Zoom call today, which will hopefully finalize the edit sequence, and then it's just a case of color grading. So it's going to depend on other people and how quickly they can turn around that final section. But I would love to say in a week, but fingers crossed. Definitely this month.
Where was the video filmed?
So this is an interesting one. So I was trying to find some place that was like, gave me the whole Moroccan vibe. Wanted to find somewhere that was like a fortune teller space, full of like rich colors, or somewhere I could decorate up. So I contacted loads of restaurants in London and commented on some Moroccan groups and stuff on Facebook, the Moroccan connection. And I got quoted by one restaurant a sum that was impossible for me. Like, I could not afford it. And I still kept trying to push for a restaurant to collab with me. And very luckily, there was this restaurant called Souk restaurant in Leicester Square, North African restaurant. So good, so yummy.
I've been there a few days. It's amazing.
I love it so much, and it's such a cute space. Like they used to have.
It's really like, isn't it like you walk down the stairs, right, and then it's in like a very dark. Yeah, it's amazing. That's the one. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I had a moment there.
No, to take me back. When you go down, it's like, it really, you just feel something special. And when I went into the basement area and saw it, I just knew. I was like, this is the space. So again, because of lockdown and all the complications, it was really hard to even secure that space, because we kept coming in and out of lockdown and weren't knowing what's going to happen. And then once we had done that, and which was a fantastic experience and a lot of hard work, we still needed some extra shots. Like, it was just hard, as usual, to film everything on one day. And I'd collaborated with a director this time called Sebastian Krolak. He's from Poland. And his background is more short films and feature films. So he's used to like longer shoots, more story, more scenes. So he was really keen to like still get more. And I obviously couldn't afford another space. I'd spent everything. And I'm like, how can I do this? And we literally converted my bedroom into a studio. He had this huge amount of black material. We covered everything, like entire walls, all carpet, black. Even the door, we hung material over it. I had this long stick, put it on the top.
Right, like a pole.
Like sellotape, gaffer tape, putting it either side, drape material again. And Sebastian had all this like professional lighting. So we put it in different sections of my room. And once I show you it, like, it is crazy to think that's my bedroom. Just this ordinary bedroom that doesn't even get good lighting like that, and we transformed it into a space where we could film. Like I had a handbag, cut gems off it,
Oh my
put them all
God.
over the floor. Nyla, who had styled it, she gave me like more materials and stuff that I could put on the floor. Found a cushion from Tangier that my gran had from years ago from Morocco.
Yes.
Like any little bits and bobs, you're like, okay, how can we actually make this not look like a room?
Mm.
And it worked. So the video is split between these two scenes, and there's a nice little storyline. I've got 3 amazing friends who acted in it: Axel, Parsa, and Denicio. And they play the guys who, you know, come into my life and the fortune teller's like, no.
That's not the one for you.
Yeah. But I'm excited for you to see it. And like even one of my friends' vibes, he's come through with like VFX and, you know, all these different stuff, these different little elements, that just make a video special. And I'm really grateful.
No, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to putting the song and the video together, because it'd be very, very interesting to see and show how much of an influence you've had and all your hard work, which will effectively pay off with the release of that. But just to end it off here, again, I just want to say thank you very much for your time. It's really appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
It's been amazing because, like I said, and I'll say this again and again and again, I do a lot of interviews with musical artists, but for you, for the most, you've been the one where I've had to. Like I said, I haven't finished in terms of looking at the stuff that you've been doing, filtering through all of your work, not even just musically, you know, the modeling side of things. I'll just mention now that you got into modeling because you did Bollywood kind of dancing, and then
I did.
And that's how you got into, you know, into kind of the modeling side of things. And again, I really wanted to focus more on the musical side of elements here, but this is what I mean. Like, there's just so much that I can't comprehend, but this is why I feel that you should be very proud of yourself, because it's not easy for everyone to try and put that on, you know, under their wing and say, you know what, I've accomplished this, and you've accomplished a lot in a vast amount of time, and it's refreshing to see. But just to end it off there are a lot of people who look up to you, who are inspired by you. But at the same time, difficult times, not just through lockdown, just in their musical career or their musical writing career, they're finding there are times where I think, I just can't do this. What would you say as an inspirational technique or tips, I would say, to give to those people who are up and coming and want to get to a kind of position that you're in?
Don't be afraid of growth. Like, don't be afraid to show your takes which aren't the best, or those moments where you're not hitting the notes like you think you can, because you are going to get better and you will improve with every opportunity you get, and take every opportunity, because you just never know what it will lead to. I can't explain how many things have happened to me now from a contact from 10 years ago, 7 years ago now, or how things just start to make sense at such a later time. And don't be worried about your age. Honestly, like, there's so many artists now like making it happen at a much later age to what we were used to growing up. And I just feel there really is a space for everyone. Like, there's so many people in the world, there will be an audience to listen to your music. And don't be disheartened the fact that we're in this oversaturated market. Just focus on your truth, focus on getting better, keep consistent and keep putting things out. And just don't be afraid of your mistakes, because you're going to learn each time. You're going to get better every time. And when you do reach that end goal, all those mistakes and hard work that you've put in is going to pay off, and you're going to be so thankful for that. So just keep doing your thing and just go at it relentlessly, and don't be afraid.
Wise words from the lady herself. Just to end off there, I'm looking forward to 2021 and many years to come. Just to end it off, what have we got installed for 2021, or is it just still a work in progress for you?
It's a work in progress, but I have a specific goal. I want to put an album out this year. I'm saying it, I'm owning it. I'm like, it's gonna happen.
You've heard it here. I'm gonna if I don't see it, I'm gonna keep reminding, say, hey, yeah, what happened to the album? Hopefully
I have to keep my word now.
You definitely
but
do.
I feel like the first thing is to speak it, write it down, claim it, and be like, I'm going to make this happen either way. I'm not saying I'm going to create an album with a full-on orchestra, no, but I'm going to work harder to put out a body of work, and I want to get these songs that I've written recorded, and that's definitely like a huge goal of mine this year. And at the same time, I love my music videos. I love the visual side too. I love how you can bring your stories to life through this whole film vibe. So I definitely expect to see more music videos. I'm going to keep working hard to self-fund, to get people to know more about my Patreon and all these different ways that you can also help fund my projects. But yeah, I'm just going to keep at it. But definitely an album is in the works.
100%. If in regards to your Patreon and supporting your stuff, we'll put the links in the bio for this video because it's definitely going towards a good cause. And like I said, I see very, very positive and very, things for you. And I feel that 2021 is going to be a very, very eventful year for you, especially coming out of lockdown. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's in store. But thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
That was such a sick interview. Like, you're just so natural what you do. And
thank you.
I appreciate how much effort you've gone into researching and actually learning about my very not so straightforward journey. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.